I would like to take you guys back on a little history journey. Follow me, if you will. The year is 1999. Matrix is still in theaters. Cisco's Thong Song is ruling the airways. Everybody is scared of Y2K. And there's a little program that just got released on college campuses nationwide, a little program by the name of Napster. It's 2.6 megabytes. And what this program does, if you're unfamiliar, I don't know if any of you would be, but it is a peer-to-peer sharing program that allows someone who has a song to share that song with anyone else who has access to that program. Now in 1999, to type in the name of any song you want, hit enter, and within 10 seconds, the song was on your hard drive was like magic. You have to understand. That was something that had never happened before. I mean, it felt like a completely new technology. It was fresh, it was different, and it was amazing. But it also brought up issues of piracy. And that was the main rally cry of the record labels and the studio execs, that you're stealing music and music is wrong and how can you do all these things. Well, I'm here to implore you and here to share with you that I do not believe that piracy in this sense, piracy in the sense of media, is a moral issue. I do not believe it is an issue of morality. It is not an issue of legality. It is an issue of culture. And it was an issue of culture changing and how the powers that be, meaning the studio execs and the record labels, just fighting, trying to find a way to see how they could fit in a changing world. I'm going to talk about three primary areas. I'm going to talk about music, I'm going to talk about television shows, and I'm going to talk about video games. Okay, so the first is music. Like I said, Napster came out in 1999 and it blew up the internet. Everybody had it, it was an amazing program, everybody's using it. But the studio execs were scared out of their pants because music sales started to plummet while interest in music was the highest it's ever been. So what did they start doing? They started suing college kids. Oh, you downloaded an album, sue you for $12,000. Oh, you downloaded this, I'll sue you for $100,000. They quickly found out that did not work. One, because college students are broke, all of them. So they're not getting any money, and it was terrible PR. So they have to figure out another way to do that. I'll talk more about that in a second. That was on the record label side. On the indie side, it was also a band by the name of Dispatch. Now Dispatch was an indie band, and because they had very little funds, they couldn't afford to have songs on the radio or anything like that. But what they did is that they put the music through Napster. And through Napster and now through the internet, for the first time, they were able to build a fan base, and they were able to do tours, they were able to sell out concerts. In 2007, they were the first independent band to sell out Madison Square Garden. They sold it out 3 days in a row, and they did all of these things without a single song on the radio. So the whole concept of needing those gatekeepers, those big guys on the hill to kind of allow you to create music that you can share with others was taken away. And the record labels they had to find a new way to overcome that. So, in 1999, downloading an album, completely illegal, wrong, don't do that. But in 2013, now we have options like Spotify. Spotify allows you to listen to individual songs or albums completely free. Granted, you have an ad-based system, and you also have a system where you pay $10 a month and you can get it. But the exact same thing, listening to an album over the internet, illegal, wrong, don't do it, in 1999, and now, 2013, legal. You see how it's not an issue of legality, but more one of culture? That's music. In shifting over to television shows, HBO has a show called Game of Thrones. Game of Thrones is amazing. If you haven't seen it, I highly recommend it. It's wonderful, it's a great show. There is a lot of nudity, I will say that, but it's a wonderful show. It is also the most pirated show that's ever existed. Each episode of Game of Thrones is pirated on average about 4 million times. And HBO is well aware of this. In fact, they use it as a badge of honor. They say, we're the most pirated show on television right now. In fact, the programming president of HBO, Michael Lombardo, said this. He said, I probably shouldn't be saying this, but it is a compliment of sorts. And he says it's actually a boon. It actually helps to promote the product, because when the episode comes out, literally everyone is talking about Game of Thrones, people who have HBO and people who do not. And found out that it also doesn't hurt sales, because the season 2 release of Game of Thrones, the DVD sales were 241,000 units, which is an increase of 44% over season 1, and the episode-by-episode sales also went up by 112% from season 1. So even with it being the most pirated show on television, it is still the #1 moneymaker for HBO. So the piracy issue doesn't even hurt it in that sense. So in 1999, downloading a TV show, illegal, bad, don't do it. Downloading an episode in 2013, the president of HBO says it's a compliment. He says it's a boon to the market. So once again, not an issue of morality. The third one I want to talk about is video games. Now, earlier this year, two college students by the name of Sean Hogan and Jonathan Kitata released a game called Anodyne. Anodyne is a really cool game, kind of retro. It kind of looks like a Game Boy game, top-down perspective, very cool game. But they released it on their own website. And the thing with independent games or independent music or whatever is that when you release something to the market, nobody knows who you are. So you release a product, and because you don't have the marketing and the publicity of these big houses, no one knows that the game is out. So Sean had an interesting idea. He said, what if I put the game for free up on Pirate Bay? Pirate Bay, if you're unaware, is a site that people can go on and get any type of music or video game or application or whatever. It's a neat, clean, virus-free environment, neatly organized to just get whatever you want. The piratebay.sx is the URL. Just in case you're wondering. And it may seem absurd that giving the game away for free would help, but that's what he did. And what happened is, within 72 hours of the game being available for free, him and his business partner made $12,000. Because what happened is that people downloaded the game, they played it, and it's really good, and they started sharing their friends. Like, have you heard about this game called Anodyne? It's really good. No? Have you heard about this game called Anodyne? It's pretty good. And what it did is that it created word of mouth, which is something that he was unable to do without a system like Pirate Bay. So he actually says that putting the game up for free on Pirate Bay was actually one of the best business decisions that he's ever made, because through that he was able to get the marketing and the publicity that he otherwise would not have gotten. So in 1999, downloading a game, ooh, bad, don't do it. In 2013, downloading a game, the creator of the game himself put the game up and said, please, download it, share it, tell your friends. So the entire philosophy has changed. All of this is once again just to kind of focus and emphasize the point that piracy is not an issue of legality. It is not an issue of morality. Yes, stealing is wrong and all of those things, but what Napster did is that it basically shifted culture. People went from a specific album focus or a specific song focus to now a service-centered focus. And we've seen that shift in the last 10 years with the rises of services like Spotify, with services like Netflix, with services like YouTube, where you can just go online and just listen to whatever song you want, and it's not illegal anymore. They didn't outlaw it. And a very good example of this is a study that they did in Norway in 2012, last year. They said in 2008, 1.2 billion songs were pirated. This is just in Norway. 112 million movies were pirated, and about 135 million television shows. But in 2012, after you had services like Netflix and Spotify and what I would call legal, affordable, and exceedingly convenient alternatives, then that piracy rate dropped to 210 million songs, 65 million movies, and about 55 million television shows, which is a drop of about 50% overall, but a drop of 83% in terms of songs, which is an amazing thing. So once people have a legal alternative, there's no reason to pirate any stuff anymore. So that's basically what I want to impart to you. Once people have a convenient legal way to access media, there really is no need to pirate anymore. And because of that, what was illegal in 1999 is not illegal today. And what is illegal today, quote unquote, may not be illegal in the future. So I thank you for your time. And I hope Sorry. Oh, am I?
Kayla, you want to tell us what's up?
Yeah, I liked his opening attention device. I thought he displayed really good confidence, and not just on this speech, but it seems like all his speeches, he has really good charisma and a good job at keeping the class and paying attention. He seemed passionate about his topic, and I liked how he kind of listed his points ahead of time, letting us know where we were going to be headed, the music, TV, and video games. And I think he did a really good job reaching into the past and then bringing us back to the present to show the cultural evolution, and then it helped prove his points very nicely.
Okay. Yeah, I thought the visualization at the beginning was very effective, and you set up the structure. You're basically going to just follow 3 different kinds of media when you're talking about this. I get the idea that you're talking about a value claim, basically arguing that there's been a shift in perception that's going on here. What's a little strange to me, though, is that consistently on all the platforms that you're talking about, it's not so much that the attitudes have changed as it is the delivery systems have changed, and the delivery systems, I think, are the legal and moral outlet that you're talking about. I mean, at the very end, when you cite that it's Norwegian data that's going on, it says when people have a legal outlet for doing this, you don't have all of the other kinds of things that are going on. Well, if it's a legal, that sounds like a legal statute or a structure or criteria, and that's what you said it isn't about anymore. It's about a shift in the culture. So I don't think there's much doubt that the shift in the cultural view of things has occurred. I think that's true. What our expectation is and how available things should be, I think that's still true. The question of obtaining it without giving appropriate compensation to the originator, the creator of the material, I'm not sure that has changed. I think what's changed is just how you do it. All right, so in 1999, you're stealing it online, but the only way you could pay for it would be to buy it in the stores, that sort of thing. But now we have ways that people can obtain access to it, either buying it online digitally, or like you're talking about, if you subscribe to Spotify and you listen to the ads, I mean, you get to hear the music that's going on there. Well, somebody's getting compensated some way, shape, or form for that. So it's still, all that's shifted is the compensation issue. I'm not sure that we've got a change in the morality issue that you're talking about. I see the point that you're talking about, which makes it feel a little bit more like it's an informative speech rather than a persuasive speech. You keep coming back to the one issue on each point, but I just keep processing it in the same way and going, well, it's just the compensation and the platform deliveries are all different. That's all that's changed. It's it's still, if for instance I was downloading the music without using a streaming service that I subscribe to, or if I had a program on it that cut out or prevented me from having to listen to the ads, on those kinds of things, I would still think that legally and morally you are committing a violation of some standard that people would recognize as being true. I don't think we've had a shift in the way people perceive that. I just think that we don't have to worry about it anymore because we have these other tools for getting there. And I like the information that you have. You got good examples. It's great that a band can share their information, or Game of Thrones can become more popular. That doesn't mean that they wouldn't make more money doing things another way. For example, I'm still trying to figure out for some of these issues. It makes sense to me to some degree, but for instance, on Game of Thrones, if I can watch all of Game of Thrones for free on Pirate Bay, why would I ever spend the money for the DVDs?
Because you really like the show. Gift them.
I can gift them anytime. You know how I gift them? Here's the link to Pirate Bay. I can do that in an email and not ever have to spend the $80, $50, whatever it is that a season costs. Now I'm not saying that people But I'm thinking, okay, well, their sales went up from season 1 to season 2, but that's probably because the popularity of the show went up. In part, that might be because it's widely available, but that doesn't mean that they wouldn't have sold twice as much if they didn't have, the pirating that's going on. So, I mean, I understand that there's a relationship between those things, and I think you do a pretty good job explaining that relationship, but I'm not sure that that dismisses the idea that there is this other consequence that's going on.
All right.